It gives us two members of the Finance Committee here, which is a quorum. Anyway, it looks like we have 6 items on the agenda, and hopefully we have people here to speak on them. So why don't we get started? Number 1 is fiscal year 23. I think if that SSYI, is that's something youth initiative, is that it?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, could you, who's going to speak on that one for us?
If you don't mind, I'll start, Counselor. Did you get the attachment that I sent out to everyone?
I did not see it. I just got on, but
I sent an attachment to all the counselors.
okay.
The increase. So basically what this is last year of 2022, the council approved 1.9 million through FY25 for SSYI. In April of 2023, the Executive Office in Health and Human Service gave the Springfield Police Department an additional $149,190 to be used through FY25. Now, that money is broken down with 14,443 for FY23, 60,722 for FY24, and 74,034 for FY25, bringing in a total of 149,199. Now, these funds came out of the line item 4,005, which were SSYI funding. These were additional funds that were left over from FY23. And the funds, just basically the FY23 funds, which is $14,000, that'll be used for additional behavioral health services provided by Clinical and Support Options. As you know, Counselor, and again, with the attachment I sent you, there's certain things that is mandated to do, and education, employment, and behavioral health are part of the 3 things that are mandated by the grant. So we have to have a partner in each of those. And Clinical Support Options does a wonderful job, Ms. Pam Moore. And we actually do clinical assessments on the young people. We help them when they're coming out of prison. Pam meets with them. And the FY24 and 25 funds will again just enhance the funding that we previously received, again, in behavioral health, employment, and health education.
Well, that's great, Anthony. Thank you for all the info about it. So what organization do you work for, Anthony?
I work for, so I'm the SSY coordinator. So when this grant, I've been with the grant since day one. When the grant first came out, my position was under the Springfield Police Department, but they removed it. And now each of the 14 partners around the state of Massachusetts have a lead agency, and ROCA is the lead agency. So they moved my position from the police department and moved over to ROCA. Basically, my job is to make sure that all the partners are working together with the police department, all the partners, Bay State Medical Center, Clinical and Support Options, the Sheriff's Department, Mass Hire, and of course the Springfield Police Department.
Well, that's great. So you're kind of a liaison coordinator kind of position?
Yes, sir. I've been doing it for 9 years. Yep.
And I've certainly been around when we've been talking about this for many of those years. Brian, what was Brian's last name? Brian Elliott.
Yes, sir.
He used to often report on this to us.
Yes.
He was on the police side.
Yes, Brian now is, and I'm sure Captain Keane can explain it better, but I believe Lieutenant Elliott is now out of grants, and he's on the street, I believe, working the 4 to 12 shift maybe. So he's been completely removed from the grants, and I believe Lindsay Hackett and TJ and Sean Pham now kind of oversee the police side of the grants.
All right. So, well, it sounds like you have a good handle on it. And so it's an increase, so there's no match. We're just looking for info on it. You've given us info. I'm wondering, is there anyone who has a question for Anthony on this item? No questions, not seeing any questions. Lindsay, is there anything else we need to know about it from a financial standpoint?
Nope.
Okay, good. So I'm inclined to move on to the next one, but did we get everything you wanted us to know, Anthony, about it?
Yeah, overall, and like I said, Counselor, when you have an opportunity just to check your email, last year, Counselor Whitfield had asked for more information. So basically what I did is I did the same thing I did last year for you this year, and I kind of sent it out more in a brief, kind of just breaking down, the racial profile and the Springfield data, and just kind of an explanation of what everybody does.
That's great. Excellent. I will look for that.
Okay, sir.
'Cause that comes up often with this. Excellent. Okay. Thank you, Anthony.
I'm good to
Moving
go.
moving along to item 2, order approving memorandum of understanding agreement with Focus Springfield. Who's here to talk about this one?
So I can speak to this. I don't see anyone here. Someone from the law department will be here at the 7 o'clock though. So this is an MOU with Focus Springfield. And with the PEG access, which is the public and educational and government access, the public access television, there's a franchise fee that is paid by Comcast. And that is paid to the city, but it does have to flow through to Focus because they are the entity who handles the PEG access for the city. So we need to set up a special revenue account for them. So we have an MOU with them, and you will also see a transfer of that money that's come into the city of Springfield that then needs to be transferred over to Focus for that specific reason. So all of those are kind of one thing. And that's the reason for all of it.
Okay, great. The net of this is it basically because we now have a new agreement with Focus? Is that what this is for? Or is it, I know you're more on the financial end. I just didn't know if something was changing with Focus.
No, there's nothing changing. We just need to establish this so we can get the franchise money directly over to Focus.
All right, great. Okay, thank you. Anybody got a question on that? Number 2.
Counselor, I think Counselor Govan has her hand up.
Oh, thank you. Zeta,
Yeah, thank you very much.
go right ahead. Thank you. Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I'm not sure if you're going to be able to answer this question. I don't think it's for Lindsay, actually. I think it might be for Focus Springfield, but I guess my question was related to the potential for translation of these meetings, the city council meetings. I don't know if any committee meetings to the Spanish language specifically. I've been asked from by a few community organizations about that possibility. And I remember the last time that the PEG money came through at City Hall at one of our council meetings, we did talk about that. So I don't know if that's something that this could be impacting, or if it's something that we need to bring up now or later on. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Zeta, I'm wondering, Zeta, if you could run the meeting for a few minutes. I'm getting a call that I have to take.
Okay, that's fine.
Thank you. I'll be right back.
Okay, so I'm not sure, Lindsay, if, of course, I don't think it's you that's going to be answering that question, but that's just, I don't know if Focus Springfield is here or who might be able to answer that.
Yeah, so that's a great question, Counselor. And Steve Carey is actually going to be here tonight at the 7 o'clock. So you'll have the opportunity to ask him then for sure.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Is there anyone else that has their hand raised?
I do, Madam Chair.
Oh, go ahead, Mr. Counselor.
Thank you, Councilor Davila here. Thank you, Lisa, for your presentation. And before I ask my question, please let me thank Focus Springfield for all the work that we have done. I fully recognize that without them, government we have really come to a standstill during this pandemic. So thank you so much for all the work you've done, guys. Couldn't have done it without you. But just dotting my I and crosses my T's. Lindsay, if you know, is looking at the agenda, is item 3 go hand in hand with item 2, the transfer of to professional services?
700,000?
Yeah,
Yes.
so that's the fee that they're gonna be getting? for the
Yeah, so
service?
what has happened, because we don't have a special account set up right now, it's come into the general fund. So we've taken that revenue in as part of the general fund revenue, and we're going to use free cash just kind of as a replacement to
Right.
fund what we owe back to Focus. Just for this fiscal year, in FY '24, there will be a special revenue account set up that
Right.
money will go directly into, and we will have to come to the city council quarterly to appropriate that. But that is what is happening, at least for FY '23, because we haven't had that fund set up yet.
I understand. And Lizzie, what's the fee that the Comcast pays the city?
So the total for FY '23 is 700,000. That's the amount that we've received so far. It does vary. I don't know what it's based on. Off
Okay,
the top of my head.
I understand, Lindsay, thank you. And I just wanna, Lindsay, I just wanna join Councilor Govan in looking at the possibility of getting the video translated, not only to Spanish, but in many other languages to what it's available, because we want to continue to make government more accessible to people, and it's their government after all, so they can fully know what's going on. But other than that, thank you, Lindsay. Focus Springfield, again, thank you so much. You really have done a fantastic job. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Counselor. Is there anyone else that might have any questions or comments? And I'm driving, so I don't know where what the next item on the agenda is, then we can move on.
Are you
Yeah,
asking?
Yes, please.
okay.
Lindsay, I don't know if you have the agenda. That'd
I
be
do.
great.
So item
Thank
number
you.
3 is actually the transfer from free cash to professional services for that $700,000, $700,912. And that is just for that transfer I just spoke about. I don't know if there was any additional questions about that.
Okay, yes. Thank you, Lindsay. Any questions or comments on that? Okay, sounds like it's just flowing, so that's great. Lindsay, next item, please.
Sure.
I'm so sorry.
That's okay. These are all mine anyway. So this is a
Great.
transfer from reserve for contingencies over to TJO salaries and wages. We had a couple employees that we planned on using a grant to fund their salaries, and we have since decided to keep them on the general fund. So there's a small deficit projected for the end of the fiscal year to do that. So it's a transfer of just over $33,000 to TJO salary and wages.
Thank you, Lindsay. All right, and where is that $33,000 coming from, Lindsay?
Reserve for contingencies, the reserve for contingency line.
Okay, great.
Controller's
Thank
budget.
you. Excellent. Anyone have any questions or comments on that one?
I do, Madam Chair, if I may.
Yes, Counselor.
Oh, thank you. Lindsay, I do believe a couple months ago, we approved money for a veterinarian, I believe.
Mhm.
Is that what this is gonna help cover?
No, this is for 2 positions, animal control officer.
Mhm.
Initially, they were going to be funded through ARPA because the interim rule allowed for it. It's since changed, so we kind of changed the funding source for the additional staff that TJO needed, specifically due to effects of the pandemic. But it's not entirely ARPA eligible at this point, so we just decided to use the general fund.
All right, thank you, Lindsay. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. And Counselor Allen's not back yet. So Lindsay, I'm so sorry. The next item, please.
Sure, no problem. So this is a transfer also for reserve for contingency, and it is going over to building code for the gasoline line for $7,500.
Excellent. Thank you, Lindsay. Any questions or comments on that one? And what gasoline line is that, Lindsay, if I may?
Sure. So that's gasoline and diesel line for the building code department. Just a shortfall there projected for
Okay.
FY23.
Okay, great. Thank you. I see no other hands.
Madam Chair, if I may.
Oh, yes, Council
Yeah.
Davila.
Lindsay, sorry to keep asking you. We approved a lot of money a while back over to Chris for the DPW.
Mhm.
Is he in a shortfall? Is that why we're transferring this? Did he underestimate it or?
That was for DPW. This is for building code.
Oh, you know what? My apologies, my coffee hasn't fully kicked in yet.
That's okay. We've had a couple, we did increase the gasoline and diesel line by about 30% for FY23, but there are still departments that have a couple shortfalls. Fire had it, DPW had it, building code had it, so.
Yeah, I remember Chris saying that himself. Okay, thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. And just one last question, Lindsay, from me anyways. Is this related to the increase in gas prices and diesel prices?
Yeah, so it could be related to that along with increased travel. It's hard to really determine without looking exactly at, the spending per mile
Right.
really for the department.
Okay, okay.
But our projections were kind of based on a couple weird years with COVID. So now that everything's 100% back.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay, well, thank you, Lindsay. Was that the 6th item or no?
No, so there's one more, and then I just have one more thing to say after the 6th item. So the final item is a donation to the libraries for $500 on behalf of the Mason Square C3 Community Engagement Sponsorship Award Committee.
Okay.
And it's to be used specifically for the community of Mason Square for community engaging activities and/or programs.
Okay, great. Thank you, Lindsay. Any
Sure.
questions or comments on that one? I want to thank the C3 Mason Square Committee. Thank you, Lindsay. And you can go ahead. You had a comment or?
Yeah, so one thing you didn't see on the agenda tonight, but you will see on the 7 o'clock is the IAFF ratification will be back on the agenda. There was some language we had to add to the order. So nothing's changed. It was just a little bit of language that was missing from the original order that we supposedly had to add. So that's back on. Bill Mahoney will not be here. Like I said, nothing materialistically changed. It's just a revote for some added language.
Okay, great. All right, thank you, Lindsay. Anyone have any other questions or comments? No, if I guess if there's nothing else, I guess we could call the meeting adjourned.
I'm sorry, Madam Chair.
Yes, Councilor Davila.
My apologies. Lindsay, again, just dotted my I's and crossed my T's. Do you have the change in language? I know you said nothing materialistic, but just so.
Yeah, let me tell you exactly what it is. Hold on.
Sure.
I'm trying to see who emailed me.
On the firefighters, no, this is on the agenda for today?
Yeah.
Okay.
I believe the language that had to be added was for retroactive, to say that the increases were retroactive. I can't remember who had emailed me specifically about it. Hold on.
Well, you're looking that up.
I got it. I got it. So we had to add the language effective and retroactive to the previous years. So it was in there for the first year, but then for FY22 and FY23, we had to add the language effective and retroactive. That was missing.
Is there any change in the language for the 1% hazard pay?
No, there's nothing materialistically that changed. Everything is the same. The intent of the original order is exactly the same. It was just missing that language.
Gotcha. All right. Thank you, Lindsay. Thank you, Madam Chair. You muted, Madam Chair.
I apologize. I was just saying that we're gonna adjourn the meeting if there are no other questions or comments. Thank you all. Have a good evening. We'll
Thank
see you
you.
later.
Bye.
All right,
Bye.
bye.